Welcome again to the BUZZ Expo. We're happy to introduce you to Will Seccombe, President of Connect Travel. He will tell you more about the future of travel industry B2B events, conferences, and exhibitions. It's great to have you here with us, Will. And before we get right into the topics, let our attendees and viewers know more about you and Connect Travel, please.
Thank you, Marcus. It's great to be here. I appreciate you and BUZZ.travel for putting this event on. It's been a lot of fun to watch. I'm president of Connect Travel. We're a B2B event producer in focus on travel and tourism marketing, international business development. Prior to that, I spent about 30 years in the destination marketing space at CMO and CEO at Visit Florida, Visit Denver, work with Colorado Tourism, lots of resorts in Colorado in the ski industry. So I've spent a lot of time in the space, and having been in charge of running our marketing initiatives and working in event spaces, actually owning and producing some events in Florida, and then now we own and operate about 14 events in leisure travel. And as you know, travel industry was just humming along here in the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020. Everybody thought it was going to be a fantastic year. In fact, we held one of our biggest events with international tour operators from about 30 countries in Orlando in late February, and followed that the week later with a receptive tour operator event in Los Angeles. And we're getting ready to go to ITB, and when ITB had to cancel on that Friday, that really much signaled the kind of the end. And from that point on, the travel industry has gone from 10 years of record year-over-year growth to a complete global standstill. So it's interesting to see what is going to come out of the post-pandemic environment, but certainly feel pretty strongly that our industry is one that's based on connections. And again, thanks to BUZZ.travel for bringing everybody together in a virtual way, which I think is fantastic. But have no doubt that the virtual stuff will continue, but have no doubt that our industry is going to only be able to accelerate our growth out of this pandemic lull with face-to-face meetings.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we can really think, and I think that's not a surprise. The cancellation of the ITB had really been the beginning of a global crisis in tourism. I remember, of course, we wanted to be there as well. And then on this Friday, as you already said, like, hey, here the ITB is cancelled. What do you think? When do you see the tourism industry events returning?
Well, I mean, ITB was the beginning of a really rough stretch in travel, right? And I think it was, we've seen a lot of the major industry events have canceled through the summer. IPW canceled, the Expo, Destinations International here in the United States. It's a lot of the big B2B traditional events have all canceled or postponed or moved on. And in our instance, we had to do some different things. But more importantly, what we did is we've spent a lot of the last 90 days kind of re-envisioning what meetings and the conferences and exhibitions are going to have to look like in the kind of the new normal. And what are the precautions that we're going to have to take that it would be different? What are the investments we're going to have to make to ultimately make sure that our attendees, our sponsors, our speakers are all confident that they're going to be meeting in a safe environment, that they're going to be able to travel in confidence, and making sure that, again, kind of overdoing it on the safety and the cleanliness of the events. And there's a lot of people out there that say, how can you do that? How can you have an in-person event in the age of, COVID? And you have to be really intentional about how you go about doing that. So we're really looking forward to, we've just announced last week or 2 weeks ago now that we've relocated 2 events. We're going to have another event back in Orlando, September 8th through 10th. And that'll be a meeting planner event called Connect Florida, a sports event for professional sports rights holders called Connect Sports, Connect Tour, which is our North American domestic tour operator show, and our RTO South, which is for receptive tour operators that are focused on the international market. And that's all going to be held at the Rose and Shingle Creek in Orlando. And what's interesting is kind of how those programs will look different in September from the events that we held in February in Kissimmee, Florida, just down the road. And whereas in February we spent, invested quite heavily in speakers. We had President Barack Obama was our keynote speaker. Pretty compelling, amazing presentation, amazing energy. But in September, a lot of that investment that would have gone forward towards, speakers and entertainment. We had the Blue Man Group, warm up for the president. Incredible experience. But now that investment is going to be shed towards an initiative we've called Connect Safe and Health Plan. We're going to have a bigger footprint, wider aisles for one-on-one appointments. There'll be plexiglass in between the appointments. Masks will be mandatory. We'll provide temperature checks coming in and out of every facility. No longer will we bring thousands of people together, for a buffet lunch. You're going to be, prepackaged food. We're going to provide COVID tests, so that, when you come in, we'll know that you're not, you're don't have the virus. So, little simple things, we're so used to going to a trade show and having a urn of coffee or, water that everybody goes and touches the same, the same handle, and that just won't be the case anymore. It's going to be, people are going to be served, there'll be gloves around, antibiotics, hand cleaning stations everywhere. So the event experience itself will be different. But we're confident we can make our exhibitioners, our host buyers, and feel confident and comfortable. And other little things I think are interesting. We're not going to do the traditional registration, where everyone queues up and, they go and you hand off and you're, touching things and back and forth. We're going to pre-register everybody and ship the badge. And along with that badge comes a pack of wipes for the airplane, a couple masks. So so there's no reason to not feel safe and secure when you're making that trip. And we feel confident that if we're able to make our customers and our partners feel confident in what we're doing to ensure that they're going to have a good experience and we're going to provide a good environment, then they'll be able to come to an event, do business, and help jumpstart the economy. Because we know just sitting and waiting is going to do nothing for our industry, and our industry needs, we're at a tough spot right now, pretty much any sector of the industry, any place in the globe. And so the pipeline of future business is not there. And so we're going to do our best to help the industry kind of get back to work.
Of course. I mean, that's a lot to handle at the moment. So in general, how do you think will the travel industry events change due to COVID?
And there's no question, again, and it's really good, kind of great news to hear that, like, in China, there are, business to business events are back and at it, and that's a great indicator. And some of the information that we're hearing about the events, and they're doing quite well. I mean, it's a little bit different that everybody's wearing a mask. That is a fundamental difference that we're not quite used to. But in the near term, that is just such an important component of not only showing that we're taking it seriously, but doing all of our best to make sure that we're looking out for the health and well-being of everybody else there. So there are things. I think it's really important to think a little bit beyond September and our event we're going to host in October in Las Vegas, which is going to be a pretty significant event as well. But a lot of these protocols are going to have implications for years and years and years. If you think back after 9/11, all the way that travel changed, the security checkpoints and everything like that, that was 19 years ago. And was Richard Reed was a shoe bomber, tried to blow up a plane, and we're still taking off our shoes 19 years later. So, I don't think you will ever get on another plane if you have a fever. I think that's kind of COVID vaccine or not. I just don't think people are going to tolerate sick people being on a plane or sick people checking into a concert or a sporting event. So those kind of things will change regardless of the type of an event, and they'll be around for a long time. I think we have globally become much more conscious of cleanliness and washing our hands and trying not to touch our face and eliminating touch points. I mean, in Europe is much further along than the United States, certainly in contactless transactions, but that is going to be a component of kind of our everyday life moving forward. And likewise in the event space, the entire ecosystem is going to have to adapt because, in order to provide more space between sessions or more space between seats in a format, a meeting is going to require a lot more space. And, hotels are not going to be able to have, we're not going to pack everything in. So utilization of space will be very different. But there's no question in my mind that the events are going to be, in-person business-to-business events are going to be critical to jumpstarting the economy and certainly jumpstarting the travel and tourism industry.
Yeah, for sure. And now that people are more sensitive, and they are, and they will stay, as you said, this will just follow us for a long time. What do you think? How will the event organizers ensure that the attendees will feel safe traveling to conferences in general?
So I think we're going to have a couple challenges, two different challenges to really focus on addressing. One is communicating a really clear protocol. And again, at our Connect events, we've made a really concerted effort for the last 6-8 weeks on focusing on what that is. Again, simple, wider lanes, plexiglass, cleaning stations, disinfectants, temperature checks, COVID tests, all of the things, again, and going over the top on that so that it is abundantly clear that this is a plane's getting washed regularly. Everything is over the top being out in the world, right? At least initially, that is going to be a challenge. So I'm really fortunate. We've gone that step early to be able to provide for the events and later in the year. So that's one piece. The second piece for event organizers is how to bring extraordinary value. The Zoom meeting engagement is called the eTourism Summit. It's in its 21st year for digital savvy tourism marketers. Incredible event, really groundbreaking. Since the COVID shutdown, we started a little webinar series, and I've expect was going to be in Seattle, and as Vegas on October 19th and through the 21st. And the win is being a thought of cleanliness of their hotel and their casinos and their of 8 or 10 series of webinars. We've impacted over 4,500 the conversations in a very difficult time for tourists. So Then say, how then can we add that kind of value to our eTourism Summit? The travel industry are down, travel restrictions are live. So it's our 21st anniversary. eTourism is going to take over the win of 21 days of virtual conferences. So can participate and learn and professional development for their staffs and their communities. We'll get a lot of people to come to the. We know we'll be able to get a lot of people on the virtual. So that kind of hybrid conversation, I think, is really important. And I've been doing a lot of research. Demands are going to be higher, and expectations are going to be higher than ever. I think in the way things look and feel, there will be industry is going to be, open and understanding to and accepting to different changes, and it's not the way that it used to be. But they're going to demand value, and that value is either going to be in the form of extraordinary education, extraordinary industry collaboration, and business to business sales. I think you're going to have to be able to deliver a hard ROI for attendants alike. I think the industry and the event side has been able to get away with, we go to World Travel Market every year and spend a ton of money because if we didn't, they'd notice. We would conspicuous by our absence is an argument often made for why sales teams at shows. Now I think executives are going to demand that there's a much more going to have to focus on delivering forward.
Yeah, sounds very clear, of course. So now that we've talked about plans for 2020, 2021, and exactly.
So it's 2020. We've had to. It's been kind of like we could fit where and time, and so we end up making a lot of changes for the year 2020. Like I mentioned, eTourism Summit, which was going to be in Seattle in October, is hotel in October. The Thrive Summit, which is our event focused on LGBTQ travel, sports, and entertainment, we were really looking forward to being in San Juan, Puerto Rico at the end of September. The challenges of travel, we've moved that to the Win as well, October 19 through 21 in Las Vegas. Have another international business development show, Connect Travel Marketplace, kind of a secondary version from the last was President Obama's spring. We'll do round number 2 at the end of MICE meetings. So associations, meetings, corporate will all be in Las Vegas as well. So that'll be a major event. October 1 at the Shingle Creek in Orlando. We'll have and Connect RTO tour, a four kind of flyer as well. So we're committed to connective events. And then as we start planning, we think that again, this co-location of events provides an exciting synergies with multiple people, multiple speakers, different kind, make a more impactful event. But we couldn't be more being realistic. We know it's going to be from vertical in the travel industry has just been hit incredibly hard. So it's going to be a tough climb back, but we know that the business of travel, relationships, and the business of travel is done. Needs to have that kind of that one-on-one conversation.
For sure. This is the best thing you can do in the end. I mean, it's all about the this time that's not possible. Okay, there's the two of us. Absolutely the same that you already said. So we will keep the eye on the future, what's going on, and how you will do that. That's been very, very interesting, and to running and support you in any kind of way. Please let us know. We do our best.
Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate BUZZ.travel and putting up with the big challenges of this time. And I think it's one thing it's really important to note is that travel and this kind of scenes are taken for granted. Likewise, the business-to-business exhibitions and everybody up and records everywhere, and incredible run for everybody for a good long time. We are all experiencing a dead stop, and so my year-over-year record starts to zero harder than they ever have to get business back. It's going as I am space is that's the environment where you're able to target the right people that are come in and the right harder is including aggressive in some of the business events.
To call out there as far as it's possible, and this would be, for example, because then we can start in the end. We will see how that all turns out. We try to do our best to connect travel. You are around on the I just a question here.
Oh, no.
From Sebastian. You're doing fine. Will, do you think that DMC will play?
Yeah, great question, Sebastian. The role of destination marketing organizations historically, when they're 95% of their community, an what is the first, second, third biggest industry in each of those communities. So you read most of the travel industry, by and large, is small businesses, and small businesses don't necessarily they're fighting and scrambling to do anything they can, and so I think DMCs are going to have a one educating, providing resources, provide what is mandated by the local jurisdiction or the local government, to identify that information. I am in Florida Restaurant Association has done a fabulous job of collaborating to identify all kind of safety and security and cleanliness problems so their member businesses. I think that's a good lesson for any DMC to identify sources where you can be a real value to help those small businesses be in a position to recover and be able to address it at a time fretting about masks, hand or disinfectant.
Yeah, so I think this has been a great answer. So if there's no questions more, well, as I said, it had been very, very interesting and brings a lot of focus on the future, what's going on. And yeah, as I said already, everybody connect to Will if you would like to know more. Yeah.
Check us out in the Expo or Connect Travel, and you grow your business any way we can.
Perfect.
All right.
Thanks. And see you soon.